William Harrison stood at the marina dock, watching his new fishing boat bob gently in the morning sun, but something was terribly wrong. Fox, his German Shepherd partner from 20 years of naval service, refused to set foot on the vessel. The dog's hackles were raised, his ears pinned back, and he was backing away from the boat with low, warning growls that William had never heard before. Fox had detected explosives in Afghanistan, tracked enemies through hostile territory, and saved countless lives. With his incredible instincts, if Fox was afraid of this boat, there was a very good reason. The dog's behavior was so unusual that nearby fishermen stopped to stare, whispering among themselves about the strange scene unfolding before them. William had seen Fox face down, armed insurgents without flinching, but now the loyal companion was trembling with anxiety at the sight of what should have been a peaceful fishing vessel. Please support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. William Harrison had spent 2 decades serving his country as a naval officer, specializing in nuclear submarine systems and underwater warfare tactics. His career had taken him to the most dangerous waters in the world, from the ice-cold depths of the Arctic Ocean to the politically charged Persian Gulf, where American submarines maintained silent vigil against hostile forces. After retiring with full honors following a distinguished career that included multiple commendations for bravery and leadership under fire, he thought, his days of danger and excitement were behind him. The transition to civilian life hadn't been easy for the former commander who had spent most of his adult life in service to his country. Nightmares from his deployment still haunted his sleep, filled with memories of emergency surface procedures, reactor cooling failures, and the constant pressure of knowing that one mistake could kill everyone aboard his submarine. The constant hypervigilance that had kept him alive in war zones now made peaceful retirement feel like a prison sentence, where every shadow seemed to hide a potential threat. His therapist at the VA hospital had suggested finding a hobby that would connect him with the water he'd spent so many years navigating beneath the surface, something that would provide the familiar comfort of maritime environment without the life-or-death stakes of military operations. Fishing seemed like the perfect solution, a peaceful way to stay connected to the ocean without the stress of commanding a nuclear vessel through hostile waters. He'd saved up for months to buy this 30-foot fishing boat, dreaming of quiet mornings on Chesapeake Bay where he could finally find the peace that had eluded him since coming home from his final deployment. The boat represented a new chapter in his life, one where he could heal from the invisible wounds of war while enjoying the solitude of the open water and the therapeutic rhythm of casting lines and waiting for fish to bite. William had inspected every inch of the vessel before purchasing it, checking the engine, electronics, and safety equipment with the thoroughness that military training had drilled into him over 2 decades of service. Fox had been William's constant companion for the past 8 years, first as his military working dog and now as his retired partner in civilian life. The German Shepherd had served with distinction in multiple deployments across 3 different theaters of operation, earning commendations for his to detect explosive devices and his unwavering loyalty under fire. Military working dogs like Fox underwent years of intensive training at specialized facilities, where they learned to identify dozens of different chemical signatures associated with weapons, drugs, and other dangerous materials. His nose was a finely tuned instrument capable of detecting threats that human senses would never notice, trained to recognize everything from plastic explosives to chemical weapons components. Fox had saved William's life more times than either of them could count, alerting him to hidden improvised explosive devices during shore patrols, tracking enemy combatants through treacherous terrain during special operations missions, and standing guard during countless nights in hostile territory where sleep meant vulnerability. The bond between them went deeper than the typical relationship between a handler and his dog, forged in the crucible of combat where trust meant the difference between life and death. They had shared foxholes under enemy fire, slept back to back in freezing mountain camps, and communicated with subtle signals that outsiders couldn't interpret but had become second nature through years of partnership. Fox understood William's moods and needs better than most humans did. providing comfort during the dark nights when memories of war threatened to overwhelm him with their intensity. In retirement, Fox had adapted to civilian life with the same professionalism he'd shown in the military, but his protective instincts remained as sharp as ever, constantly scanning their environment for potential threats. The dog's unusual behavior around the boat was completely out of character for an animal that had faced down armed enemies without hesitation, and William knew better than to ignore his partner's warnings. Fox's training had been too extensive, and his track record too perfect for his current behavior to be dismissed as random anxiety or age-related confusion. The Chesapeake Bay Marina buzzed with typical morning activity as boat owners prepared for a day on the water, their cheerful conversations about weather conditions and fishing prospects creating a pleasant backdrop of normalcy that contrasted sharply with William's growing concern. His attention was focused entirely on the man who had sold him the fishing boat just 3 days earlier, in what now seemed like an unusually rushed transaction. Harold Kellerman had seemed eager to complete the sale quickly, accepting William's offer without negotiation and insisting on a cash transaction that seemed unusual for such an expensive purchase, involving a boat worth more than $40,000. During their brief meeting at a roadside diner, Kellerman had appeared nervous and distracted, constantly checking his phone and glancing around as if expecting someone to interrupt them or overhearing their conversation. The seller claimed he was relocating for work and needed to sell the boat immediately. But something about his story didn't ring true to William's trained instincts, honed by years of evaluating intelligence reports and assessing potential threats. Kellerman had refused to meet at his home or office, insisting they conduct the transaction at a busy restaurant parking lot where they were surrounded by crowds and potential witnesses. When William had asked routine questions about the boat's maintenance history and previous owners, Kellerman's answers were vague and inconsistent, filled with the kind of evasive language that intelligence training had taught William to recognize as deceptive. The paperwork appeared legitimate at first glance, but there were small details that nagged at William's subconscious, minor inconsistencies in dates and signatures that his analytical mind couldn't ignore. Now, watching Fox's extreme reaction to the vessel, William began to wonder if his suspicions about the seller had been justified all along. The dog's behavior was too dramatic and specific to ignore, representing a clear warning from the most reliable threat detection system William had ever encountered. His military experience had taught him that when something felt wrong, it usually was wrong, and Fox's instincts had never failed them during their years of dangerous service together. William spent the next 2 days researching the boat's history through marine registration records and online databases, using investigative techniques he'd learned during his naval intelligence training and refined through years of analyzing enemy capabilities and intentions. What he discovered made his blood run cold with recognition of a pattern he'd seen too many times in his military career when classified information fell into the wrong hands. The boat's previous owner had been Dr. Owen Chen, a nuclear engineer who worked for the Navy's reactor development program at the nearby Naval Research Laboratory, one of the most sensitive military research facilities in the United States. According to official records accessible through his veteran database privileges, Dr. Chen had disappeared 6 months earlier under mysterious circumstances that were still under investigation by federal authorities, including the FBI and Naval Criminal Investigative Service. His colleagues described him as a brilliant scientist who had been working on classified projects related to next-generation nuclear propulsion systems for submarines, research that could potentially revolutionize underwater warfare capabilities for decades to come. The timing of his disappearance coincided with reports of missing classified documents from his secure laboratory, though the Navy had kept those details from public disclosure to avoid compromising ongoing investigations. Dr. Chen's work involved some of the most sensitive nuclear secrets in the American military arsenal, including reactor designs that incorporated breakthrough technologies worth billions of dollars and capable of providing decisive strategic advantages over enemy naval forces. The fact that his personal boat had ended up in Harold Kellerman's possession raised red flags that William's military training couldn't ignore, creating a chain of connections that pointed toward something far more dangerous than a simple boat sail. Something was clearly wrong with this entire situation, and Fox's instincts were confirming what William's logical mind was beginning to piece together through careful analysis of the available evidence. The boat wasn't just a fishing vessel purchased from a legitimate seller. It was potentially a crucial piece of evidence in a case involving national security and missing nuclear secrets that could compromise American military superiority. The investigation led William to a modest townhouse in Annapolis, where he met the woman who claimed to be Dr. Owen Chen's daughter, someone who might hold crucial information about her father's mysterious disappearance and its connection to the boat now sitting in his marina slip. Yvonne Chen was an attractive woman in her early 30s, with intelligent eyes and a demeanor that seemed genuinely distraught about her father's disappearance, displaying the kind of emotional authenticity that William had learned to recognize during his years of conducting personnel interviews and security clearance investigations. She worked as a registered nurse at the local hospital and had been cooperating with federal investigators since her father vanished without a trace from his secure laboratory office, leaving behind only questions and missing classified documents. Yvonne explained that her father had been increasingly worried in the weeks before his disappearance, mentioning concerns about security breaches and suspicious activities at his workplace that had made him fearful for his safety and the security of his research. Dr. Chen had confided in his daughter about his fears that classified information was being leaked to foreign agents, and he suspected that someone within his own research team might be involved in espionage activities that could compromise national security. The night before he disappeared, Dr. Chen had called Yvonne in a panic, saying he had discovered something terrible about his colleagues and needed to gather evidence before taking his concerns to higher authorities who could protect him from retaliation. That was the last time anyone had heard from the brilliant scientist, and his secure laboratory showed signs that someone had accessed his computer files and removed physical documents containing some of the Navy's most sensitive nuclear reactor designs. Yvonne begged William to help her find answers about her father's fate, believing that his military background and investigative skills might uncover clues that civilian authorities had missed or been unable to pursue due to jurisdictional limitations. Her emotional plea seemed genuine and desperate, and William found himself drawn into the mystery despite his better judgment, telling him to report everything to federal authorities and walk away from the dangerous situation that was clearly beyond the scope of civilian involvement. William agreed to help Yvonne search for answers about her father's disappearance, but decided to conduct some surveillance on Harold Kellerman before taking any direct action that might alert potential enemies to his involvement in the investigation. Using skills learned during decades of military operations and refined through numerous intelligence-gathering missions, he began tracking Kellerman's movements around the Chesapeake Bay area with the systematic approach of a professional investigator. Fox proved invaluable during these reconnaissance missions, his trained senses detecting people and vehicles long before William's human perception noticed them, providing early warning of potential surveillance or counter-surveillance activities. They followed Kellerman to various locations around the bay, documenting his meetings with suspicious individuals who clearly weren't local fishermen or marina workers based on their behavior, clothing, and the security precautions they employed during their conversations. The surveillance revealed a pattern of clandestine meetings at isolated locations, always conducted with excessive security precautions that suggested illegal activities far more serious than typical criminal enterprises. Kellerman appeared to be coordinating with a network of people who used coded language and counter-surveillance techniques that indicated professional training in espionage operations, the kind of sophisticated tradecraft that William recognized from his military intelligence briefings about foreign spy networks. William photographed license plates, documented meeting times and locations, and used his military knowledge to identify the tactical behaviors he observed among Kellerman's associates, noting their use of multiple vehicles, communication protocols, and surveillance awareness that suggested extensive training by foreign intelligence services. The evidence was building toward a conclusion that terrified him, with its implications for national security. These people weren't just criminals engaged in typical illegal activities like drug smuggling or money laundering. They appeared to be foreign operatives conducting espionage against American military secrets. Fox's earlier reaction to the boat now made perfect sense. The dog's training had detected something dangerous that human senses couldn't perceive, possibly explosive devices or chemical signatures associated with weapons or surveillance equipment hidden aboard the vessel by people who understood the value of Dr. Chen's missing research. That evening, William made what would prove to be a crucial mistake in judgment when he shared his surveillance findings with Yvonne Chen, trusting her with sensitive information because of her apparent concern for her missing father and her cooperation with federal authorities. He showed her photographs of Kellerman's meetings, explained his theories about foreign espionage, and outlined his plans for further investigation of the mysterious boat that had somehow passed from her father's ownership to a suspicious seller. Yvonne listened intently to every detail, asking detailed questions about his discoveries and expressing gratitude for his willingness to help find her father, despite the obvious personal risk involved in confronting what appeared to be a professional spy network. She appeared genuinely shocked by the implications of his findings and promised to contact federal authorities with the information he had gathered, suggesting that his evidence might provide the breakthrough that investigators needed to solve her father's disappearance. What William didn't know was that immediately after his departure, Yvonne retreated to her bedroom and made a coded phone call to Harold Kellerman, reporting every detail of William's investigation and warning him that they were under surveillance by someone with military training and investigative skills. Her performance as a concerned daughter had been flawless, displaying exactly the right combination of grief, hope, and desperation that would motivate a veteran to involve himself in a dangerous situation. But in reality, Yvonne Chen was not Dr. Owen's daughter at all. She was a trained intelligence operative who had been inserted into the situation to monitor and manipulate anyone who might stumble upon their espionage operation, using her genuine nursing credentials and carefully constructed backstory to provide perfect cover for her real activities. She had been feeding information to Kellerman's network since the beginning of Dr. Chen's involvement with their operation, helping them identify security vulnerabilities and potential threats to their mission. William's military training and investigative skills had made him a threat that needed to be managed carefully, and Yvonne's job was to keep him close while feeding his discoveries back to the people he was trying to expose, ensuring that they stayed one step ahead of his investigation. The next night, William decided to conduct a thorough search of the boat, trusting Fox's instincts over his own reservations about trespassing on his own property and potentially compromising evidence that might be needed for a federal investigation. They waited until well after midnight before approaching the marina, using darkness and William's knowledge of security procedures to avoid detection by patrol guards who might interfere with their search or alert others to their activities. Fox led the way with the confidence of a military working dog on a mission, his nose guiding them toward specific areas of the vessel that had triggered his earlier alarm, moving with the purposeful determination that William remembered from their combat deployments. William followed his partner's lead, knowing that the dog's training was far superior to his own abilities when it came to detecting hidden dangers or contraband, trusting the instincts that had kept them both alive through multiple dangerous missions. The boat rocked gently in the calm water as they boarded, and Fox immediately began indicating areas of interest with the subtle signals that William had learned to interpret during their years of partnership, systematically checking the cabin, engine compartment, and storage areas with the thoroughness of a trained search specialist. The dog's behavior was systematic and professional, working through the vessel with the same methodical approach he had used to clear buildings and vehicles during their military service, never rushing but never wasting time on areas that didn't warrant attention. When Fox stopped at a section of the cabin floor and began pawing at what appeared to be normal planking, William knew they had found what they were looking for, recognizing the specific alert behavior that indicated hidden contraband or dangerous materials. Using tools from the boat's emergency kit, he carefully pried up the floorboards to reveal a hidden compartment that had been expertly concealed beneath the cabin sole, constructed with the kind of professional craftsmanship that suggested military or intelligence agency resources. The compartment was designed to escape casual inspection while providing secure storage for whatever secrets it contained, lined with waterproof materials and equipped with foam padding to protect delicate contents from the normal vibrations and movements of a boat at sea. Inside the hidden compartment, William discovered a waterproof metal cylinder sealed with military-grade locks that required specialized tools to open safely. The container was approximately 18 inches long and 6 inches in diameter, constructed from titanium alloy that would resist corrosion even after years of exposure to marine environments. Fox's nose twitched with recognition as he detected the chemical signatures that had triggered his initial alarm, confirming that this was indeed what had made him refuse to board the vessel. Using his naval engineering knowledge and a multi-tool from his service days, William carefully manipulated the locking mechanism until it opened with a soft click that seemed unnaturally loud in the quiet marina. Inside the cylinder, wrapped in multiple layers of protective plastic and sealed against moisture, were dozens of technical documents bearing the distinctive red classification markings that William recognized from his years of handling sensitive military materials. The papers contained detailed blueprints, mathematical calculations, and engineering specifications that made his blood run cold as he realized their significance. These weren't ordinary naval documents. They were the complete design specifications for next-generation nuclear reactor systems intended for the Navy's most advanced submarine fleet. The implications of finding such materials hidden in a civilian boat were staggering, representing a breach of national security so severe that foreign powers would pay millions of dollars to obtain this information. William's hands trembled slightly as he photographed several pages with his phone, knowing that he was looking at secrets that could shift the balance of naval power if they fell into enemy hands. The documents revealed technical details about revolutionary nuclear propulsion systems that incorporated breakthrough technologies worth decades of research and billions of dollars in development costs. These reactor designs represented quantum leaps in efficiency, safety, and stealth capabilities that would give American submarines decisive advantages over any potential adversary for the next 30 years. William recognized some of the calculations from his own submarine training, but much of the advanced mathematics and engineering was beyond his expertise. Clearly the work of brilliant scientists like Dr. Owen Chen, who had devoted their careers to pushing the boundaries of nuclear technology. The papers included detailed specifications for reactor cooling systems, neutron shielding configurations, and fuel enrichment processes that were among the most closely guarded secrets in the American military arsenal. There were also manufacturing instructions, material specifications, and quality control procedures that would allow foreign nations to replicate these advanced reactors if they obtained the complete documentation. As William studied the papers by flashlight, he began to understand the true scope of what Dr. Chen had been working on, and why foreign intelligence services would go to such extraordinary lengths to obtain his research. These weren't just theoretical designs. They were production-ready blueprints for nuclear systems that would power the next generation of American naval supremacy. The fact that they were hidden in a boat that had somehow passed through Harold Kellerman's hands suggested a sophisticated espionage operation designed to smuggle the most sensitive military secrets out of the country. William realized that he was looking at evidence of treason on a scale that could compromise American national security for decades to come, making his discovery potentially one of the most significant intelligence breaches in naval history. William's military training kicked in as he carefully resealed the documents and prepared to contact federal authorities, but Fox's sudden alert posture warned him that they were no longer alone at the marina. The dog's ears perked up and his body tensed in the distinctive way that indicated approaching threats, a behavior pattern that William had learned to trust completely during their years of dangerous service together. Through the cabin windows, William could see flashlight beams moving methodically through the marina as multiple individuals conducted what appeared to be a coordinated search of the area. Their movements were too organized and purposeful to be casual security guards or marina employees, displaying the kind of tactical coordination that suggested professional training in surveillance and search operations. William realized that his earlier surveillance of Harold Kellerman had been detected, and now the spy network was actively hunting for whoever had been investigating their activities. Fox remained perfectly still, his training keeping him silent despite his obvious alertness to the approaching danger, waiting for William's command while monitoring the threats through senses far superior to human perception. William quickly secured the metal cylinder and closed the hidden compartment, knowing that their discovery would be worthless if they were captured or killed before they could report it to proper authorities. The approaching searchers were using professional techniques, coordinating their movements and maintaining communication through what appeared to be military-style radio equipment, confirming William's worst fears about the sophistication of the operation he had stumbled into. Harold Kellerman's voice carried across the water as he coordinated the search teams, his earlier nervous demeanor replaced by the cold professionalism of someone accustomed to dangerous operations. William could hear fragments of conversation that confirmed his suspicions about foreign espionage, with references to securing the package and eliminating witnesses that left no doubt about the lethal nature of the threat they faced. The spy network had obviously been monitoring the boat since selling it to William, waiting to see if anyone would discover the hidden compartment and its invaluable contents. Fox's initial refusal to board the vessel had probably saved both their lives by preventing them from being caught in what was clearly a sophisticated trap designed to identify and eliminate anyone who might stumble upon the nuclear secrets. William realized that Yvonne Chen's helpful cooperation had been a carefully orchestrated deception designed to gather intelligence about his investigation while keeping him under surveillance until the network could decide how to handle the threat he represented. The searchers were now close enough that William could see they were armed with professional weapons and equipment, moving with the coordination of a military unit conducting a combat operation rather than criminals engaged in typical illegal activities. Their systematic approach to clearing the marina suggested extensive training in small unit tactics, possibly by foreign military or intelligence services that had invested significant resources in this espionage operation. William knew that he and Fox were facing odds that would require all their military training and combat experience to survive, trapped in a confined area against multiple armed opponents who had the advantages of numbers, preparation, and intimate knowledge of the terrain. The situation deteriorated rapidly as William attempted to leave the boat undetected, only to discover that the search teams had positioned themselves to block all obvious escape routes from the marina. Fox's superior hearing detected additional teams moving into position around the perimeter, creating an encirclement that demonstrated the professional nature of their adversaries and the resources they were willing to commit to protecting their espionage operation. William realized that his phone had no signal, probably due to electronic jamming equipment being used by the spy network to prevent him from calling for help or transmitting information about his discovery to federal authorities. The level of sophistication and coordination he was witnessing far exceeded anything that typical criminals could organize, confirming that they were dealing with a state-sponsored espionage operation backed by significant intelligence resources and personnel. Through his military experience, William recognized the tactical patterns being employed by the search teams, identifying techniques commonly used by special operations forces during capture or elimination missions. The searchers were clearly prepared to use lethal force if necessary, their careful coordination and professional equipment indicating that they viewed William as a serious threat to an operation worth millions of dollars and years of careful planning. Fox remained alert and ready for action, his military training keeping him calm despite the obvious danger, waiting for William's signal to either fight or attempt escape through whatever route might present itself. William knew that their only advantage lay in Fox's superior senses and his own knowledge of military tactics, but they would need extraordinary luck and skill to escape from trained operators who had prepared for this exact scenario. The first shots rang out across the marina as William made his desperate break for freedom, using a small inflatable dinghy to escape the immediate area, while Fox provided warning of approaching threats through his acute hearing and scent detection. Bullets struck the water around them as they powered away from the dock, with William using his knowledge of boat handling and local waterways to navigate through the darkness while under fire from multiple positions. The spy network had anticipated this possibility and positioned high-speed boats to intercept any attempt at water escape, forcing William into a deadly game of cat and mouse among the channels and islands of Chesapeake Bay. Fox crouched low in the bow of the dinghy, his body language indicating extreme alertness as he helped William navigate by detecting threats that human senses couldn't perceive in the darkness. The pursuing boats were faster and better equipped than their small dinghy, but William's intimate knowledge of local waters and his naval training in evasive maneuvering gave them a slim chance of reaching safety before being overtaken by their pursuers. Engine fire from Harold Kellerman's boat had damaged their outboard motor, causing it to run rough and lose power at the worst possible moment when speed was essential for survival. William realized they needed to reach shore and continue their escape on foot, using Fox's tracking abilities and his own military training to evade capture in terrain that might offer better opportunities to hide or fight back against their pursuers. The nuclear secrets hidden in the boat represented information valuable enough that foreign powers would kill without hesitation to protect their investment, making William and Fox witnesses who could never be allowed to survive if the espionage operation was to continue successfully. Their damaged dinghy finally gave out completely just as they reached a small, uninhabited island in the middle of Chesapeake Bay, forcing William and Fox to abandon the boat and wade through freezing water to reach the rocky shore. The October night air was bitter cold, and William's wet clothes immediately began sapping his body heat as they scrambled up the muddy bank onto what appeared to be little more than a few acres of scrub brush and weathered trees. Fox shook himself vigorously and immediately began scanning their new environment for threats, his military training automatically assessing defensive positions and potential escape routes even in the darkness. Behind them, the lights of pursuing boats swept back and forth across the water as Harold Kellerman's team searched for any sign of where their quarry had gone to ground. William knew they had perhaps 20 minutes before the search teams would begin systematically checking every island in the area, and their survival depended on finding adequate concealment or a way to signal for help from legitimate authorities. The island offered limited cover, mostly low bushes and a few larger trees that had been bent and twisted by years of exposure to storms coming off the Chesapeake. William's naval training included survival techniques for exactly this type of situation, but he had never expected to use those skills while being hunted by foreign spies on American soil. Fox's superior night vision and hearing would be crucial advantages in the coming confrontation, but they were still outnumbered by trained professionals who had resources and firepower that far exceeded anything two retired military veterans could bring to bear against them. Within minutes of reaching the island, Fox's alert posture warned William that their pursuers had discovered their landing site and were preparing to conduct a systematic search of their refuge. The dog's ears tracked the approaching boats as they circled the island, with armed men using powerful spotlights to illuminate every possible hiding place along the shoreline. William could hear Harold Kellerman's voice directing the operation, coordinating his teams with the professional efficiency of someone experienced in military operations and manhunts. The spy network was clearly prepared to invest significant time and resources in eliminating the threat that William represented, confirming the enormous value of the nuclear secrets they were protecting through their espionage operation. Fox led William to a shallow depression behind a fallen tree, where they could observe the landing parties without being immediately visible. But the limited terrain meant they would be discovered eventually, unless they could find a way to fight back or escape. The searchers were using military-grade night vision equipment and thermal imaging devices that would make hiding extremely difficult, especially given William's elevated body heat from exertion and Fox's distinctive heat signature. Through his military experience, William recognized that they were facing a coordinated assault by what appeared to be at least 6 armed individuals with professional training and superior equipment. The systematic way they were clearing the island demonstrated extensive preparation for exactly this type of operation, suggesting that the spy network had planned contingencies for anyone who might discover their activities. The first confrontation came when one of Harold's men approached their hiding position, moving with the careful steps of someone trained in night combat operations, but unaware that Fox's superior senses had been tracking his approach for several minutes. William signaled Fox to remain hidden while he prepared to neutralize the threat silently, using hand-to-hand combat techniques learned during his naval special operations training. As the searcher passed within arm's reach of their concealment, William struck with sudden violence, using a chokehold that rendered the man unconscious within seconds, while Fox prevented any sound from alerting the other team members. They quickly stripped the unconscious operative of his weapons and communication equipment, providing William with a tactical radio that allowed him to monitor the spy network's coordination and a military-grade pistol. That evening, the odds slightly in their favor. Fox's training allowed him to understand William's tactical signals, even in complete darkness, coordinating their movements with the silent efficiency they had developed during years of dangerous missions together. The captured radio revealed that Harold's team was in communication with other units positioned around the Chesapeake Bay area, confirming that this espionage operation involved far more resources and personnel than William had initially realized. Dr. Owen Chen's voice came through the radio frequency, shocking William with the realization that the missing scientist was not only alive, but actively coordinating with the foreign agents who had stolen his nuclear reactor designs. The scientist was providing detailed technical information about the hidden documents and advising Harold's team on the importance of eliminating anyone who might have discovered the secrets they were smuggling out of the country. William felt betrayed and angry as he realized that Dr. Chen had voluntarily sold out his own country for what appeared to be substantial financial gain compensation from foreign intelligence services. The revelation that Dr. Owen Chen was a willing participant in the espionage operation, rather than a kidnapped victim, completely changed William's understanding of the situation they faced. Through the captured radio, he could hear the scientists discussing technical details of the nuclear reactor designs and providing advice on how to handle the classified documents if they needed to be moved quickly to avoid capture by American authorities. Dr. Chen's voice carried no trace of fear or coercion, instead displaying the cold professionalism of someone who had made a calculated decision to betray his country's most sensitive military secrets. William realized that Yvonne Chen's emotional appeals about her missing father had been completely fabricated, designed to manipulate his sympathies and draw him deeper into the spy network's web of deception. The missing scientist had never been in danger, instead choosing to disappear voluntarily, while his collaborators established the infrastructure needed to smuggle nuclear secrets to foreign powers, willing to pay enormous sums for American military technology. Fox's earlier instincts about the boat had been even more accurate than William had realized, detecting not just hidden contraband, but evidence of an ongoing treason that threatened the foundation of American naval supremacy. The German Shepherd's military training had identified the boat as a threat because it contained materials associated with espionage operations, triggering alerts that had potentially prevented one of the most damaging intelligence breaches in modern American history. William felt a surge of pride in his four-legged partner, whose loyalty and dedication stood in stark contrast to the betrayal demonstrated by Dr. Chen and his network of foreign agents. Fox's exceptional hearing detected the approach of additional search teams just as William was processing the shocking revelation about Dr. Chen's voluntary betrayal of American nuclear secrets. The dog's alert posture indicated that their temporary advantage was about to be lost as Harold's reinforcements closed in on their position with overwhelming numbers and firepower. William knew they needed to move immediately to avoid being surrounded and captured. But the small island offered few options for concealment or escape routes. The spy network's systematic search pattern was designed to eliminate any possibility of hiding until dawn, when helicopter support could provide aerial surveillance that would make continued evasion impossible. Through the captured radio, William could hear Harold coordinating with additional units positioned around the Chesapeake Bay area, confirming that the espionage operation had resources that extended far beyond the immediate search teams hunting them on the island. Dr. Chen's voice continued providing technical advice and emphasizing the critical importance of preventing William from reaching American authorities with information about the nuclear secrets, making it clear that the spy network would use any level of violence necessary to protect their investment. Fox remained perfectly still beside William, his military training keeping him ready for instant action, while his superior senses monitored the approaching threats from multiple directions. The German Shepherd's exceptional abilities were their only advantage against professional operators equipped with night vision technology and thermal imaging devices that would soon make hiding impossible. William realized that their survival depended on taking offensive action rather than remaining passive targets, using Fox's incredible capabilities and his own combat training to strike back against enemies who expected them to cower and hide. The nuclear secrets hidden in the boat represented information so valuable that foreign powers had invested millions of dollars and extensive human resources in obtaining them, making William and Fox expendable obstacles that needed to be eliminated to protect the espionage operation. The desperate battle began when Fox detected an armed operative attempting to flank their position, his superior night vision allowing him to identify the threat long before human senses would have noticed the approaching danger. William signaled his partner to attack, and the German Shepherd moved with the silent, deadly efficiency that had made military working dogs so valuable in combat operations around the world. Fox struck the armed man with devastating force, his powerful jaws clamping down on the operative's gun arm, while his body weight knocked the enemy to the ground before he could raise an alarm or fire his weapon. The attack was perfectly executed, combining the element of surprise with Fox's exceptional physical capabilities to neutralize a trained professional in seconds of silent combat. William quickly secured the fallen operative's weapons and equipment, adding to their small arsenal while Fox maintained watch for additional threats approaching through the darkness. The captured radio crackled with increasingly urgent communications as Harold realized that his search teams were being picked off systematically by someone with military training and exceptional tactical abilities. Dr. Chen's voice expressed growing concern about the delay in eliminating William, emphasizing that exposure of the espionage operation would result in massive diplomatic consequences and the loss of billions of dollars in foreign intelligence investment. William felt grim satisfaction in hearing the fear creeping into the voices of people who had betrayed their own country for personal profit, knowing that Fox's incredible abilities were turning the tables on enemies who had expected an easy victory. The German Shepherd's military training and natural instincts made him perfectly suited for this type of guerrilla warfare, using darkness and terrain to even the odds against numerically superior forces. Harold's remaining operatives were becoming increasingly cautious and nervous as they realized they were facing opposition far more dangerous than anticipated. Their systematic search pattern beginning to break down as fear and uncertainty affected their professional coordination. As the night wore on, William and Fox continued their deadly game of cat and mouse with Harold's remaining operatives, using the German Shepherd's superior senses and William's tactical knowledge to maintain the initiative against enemies who had expected to finish the job quickly and quietly. Fox's military training allowed him to operate in complete silence while detecting approaching threats through scent, sound, and movement that human perception couldn't notice even with advanced night vision equipment. William coordinated their movements with hand signals that Fox understood perfectly, their years of partnership allowing them to function as a seamless combat team even under the most dangerous circumstances. The captured radio revealed that Harold was becoming increasingly desperate as his search teams failed to locate and eliminate the threat that William represented, with Dr. Chen's voice expressing growing anxiety about the potential exposure of their espionage operation. Foreign intelligence services had invested enormous resources in obtaining American nuclear secrets, and the failure to silence William threatened to unravel years of careful planning and preparation. Fox's exceptional performance under combat conditions demonstrated why military working dogs were considered force multipliers, capable of enhancing human capabilities far beyond what numbers alone might suggest. The German Shepherd's loyalty and dedication to protecting William contrasted sharply with the betrayal exhibited by Dr. Chen, highlighting the difference between true service and the selfish motivations that had led the scientist to sell out his own country. William felt deep pride in his four-legged partner, whose unwavering commitment to their mission exemplified the best traditions of military service and sacrifice. Harold's remaining operatives were now operating with the caution of people who had learned to respect the deadly efficiency of their opposition, their earlier confidence replaced by the wariness of professionals who recognized that they were outmatched despite their numerical and equipment advantages. The final confrontation of the night came when Harold Kellerman himself attempted to flush William and Fox from their defensive position by using explosive devices to eliminate potential hiding places across the small island. The spy leader had grown tired of losing operatives to what he had expected to be a simple elimination mission, and was now prepared to use extreme measures to complete his assignment before dawn brought unwanted attention from legitimate authorities. William realized that Harold's willingness to use explosives demonstrated both the value of the nuclear secrets they were protecting and the level of resources that foreign intelligence services had provided for this espionage operation. Fox's acute hearing detected the sound of Harold preparing his explosive devices, giving William crucial warning time to relocate their position before the first detonation sent shrapnel flying through the area they had just vacated. The explosion was followed by systematic blasts designed to eliminate every possible hiding place on the island, forcing William and Fox to remain mobile while avoiding both the explosive hazards and the remaining armed operatives who were coordinating with Harold's destructive tactics. The German Shepherd's exceptional agility and sure footing in darkness allowed him to navigate the increasingly dangerous terrain while maintaining awareness of approaching threats from multiple directions. William's naval training included experience with explosive ordnance disposal, giving him knowledge of blast patterns and timing that helped them avoid the worst effects of Harold's bombardment. The systematic destruction of their refuge demonstrated that the spy network was prepared to use any level of violence necessary to protect their espionage operation, confirming that William and Fox were fighting for their lives against enemies who would show no mercy if captured. Dr. Chen's voice on the radio urged Harold to finish the job quickly, emphasizing that dawn would bring increased risk of discovery by American authorities who might investigate the sounds of combat echoing across the Chesapeake Bay. The approaching dawn brought new dangers as Harold's reinforcements arrived with helicopter support that threatened to end William and Fox's ability to use darkness as their primary tactical advantage. The spy network had clearly prepared contingencies for extended operations, bringing in additional personnel and equipment that demonstrated the substantial resources foreign intelligence services were willing to invest in obtaining American nuclear secrets. William realized that their small island refuge would become a death trap once aerial surveillance could direct ground teams to their exact location, making escape or rescue their only options for survival. Fox's exceptional hearing detected the approaching helicopter long before it became visible, giving them crucial warning time to prepare for the new phase of the battle they were fighting for, both their lives and their country's security. The German Shepherd remained calm and focused despite the escalating danger, his military training keeping him ready for whatever challenges the new day might bring to their desperate struggle against foreign espionage. The helicopter's arrival at dawn brought with it an unexpected revelation that would change everything William thought he knew about the people hunting him across Chesapeake Bay. As the aircraft circled the island with what appeared to be Harold's reinforcements, Fox's exceptional hearing detected multiple radio frequencies, indicating that not all the approaching personnel were part of the spy network. William's captured radio suddenly crackled with a new voice identifying himself as Captain Rodriguez from Naval Criminal Investigative Service, announcing that federal agents were moving in to apprehend the espionage ring that had been under surveillance for months. The news filled William with relief and hope, believing that legitimate authorities had finally arrived to end the nightmare he and Fox had endured throughout the long night of combat against foreign agents. Dr. Chen's panicked voice came through the radio as he realized that American intelligence services had been tracking the espionage operation, with Harold's team scrambling to destroy evidence and escape before being captured by federal agents. William signaled Fox to remain hidden while he prepared to make contact with the arriving authorities, believing that their ordeal was finally over and justice would be served against the traitors who had sold American nuclear secrets to foreign powers. The German Shepherd remained alert and cautious, his military training keeping him ready for action, despite the apparent arrival of friendly forces who should have represented safety and rescue. Captain Rodriguez's voice sounded professional and authoritative as he coordinated what appeared to be a large-scale law enforcement operation designed to capture the entire spy network and recover the stolen nuclear reactor designs. William felt profound gratitude that Fox's incredible instincts and loyal service had prevented one of the most damaging intelligence breaches in American naval history, potentially saving countless lives and preserving military advantages that had taken decades to develop. However, Fox's continued alertness and suspicious behavior toward the approaching helicopter suggested that something was still wrong with the situation, despite the official identification of the aircraft's occupants as federal agents. The German Shepherd's exceptional training had never failed them during their years of dangerous service together, and his persistent wariness indicated threats that William's human senses couldn't detect. As Captain Rodriguez's team landed on the island and began advancing toward their position, Fox's body language showed increasing agitation rather than the relief that should have accompanied the arrival of legitimate rescue forces. William's military experience had taught him to trust his partner's instincts above all else, even when logic and hope suggested that their nightmare was finally ending with the intervention of proper authorities. The dog's alert posture and suspicious scanning of the approaching personnel indicated that Fox had detected something inconsistent with what they were hearing over the radio communications. Through years of combat partnership, William had learned that Fox's superior senses could identify threats that human perception would miss, including subtle behavioral cues and chemical signatures that revealed hostile intentions despite official appearances. The German Shepherd's military training included extensive experience with both friendly and enemy personnel, giving him the ability to distinguish between genuine allies and threats disguised as legitimate authority figures. William realized that Fox was trying to warn him about something fundamentally wrong with the situation, despite Captain Rodriguez's professional demeanor and apparent federal credentials. William's growing suspicions about Captain Rodriguez were confirmed when Fox detected the scent signatures that indicated the approaching personnel were carrying the same types of weapons and equipment used by Harold's operatives throughout the night. The German Shepherd's superior olfactory abilities allowed him to identify chemical traces from explosives, specialized lubricants, and foreign manufactured ammunition that suggested these weren't standard federal agents responding to an espionage case. Fox's alert behavior became more pronounced as he detected familiar scent patterns associated with the spy network, indicating that some of Harold's team were approaching disguised as legitimate authorities. William realized with growing horror that Captain Rodriguez might be part of the espionage operation, using his position within the Naval Investigative Service to protect foreign intelligence activities and eliminate threats like the one William represented. The systematic way Rodriguez was coordinating the approach to the island demonstrated intimate knowledge of the spy network's operations and resources, suggesting a level of insider information that went far beyond normal law enforcement intelligence gathering. Fox's exceptional training allowed him to detect deception through subtle behavioral cues and stress indicators that the supposed federal agents were displaying, warning William that they were walking into another trap rather than being rescued by legitimate authorities. The shocking truth became clear when William overheard Captain Rodriguez speaking in coded language with Harold Kellerman, revealing that the naval officer had been the mastermind behind the entire espionage operation from the beginning. Rodriguez had used his position within the investigative service to identify vulnerable scientists like Dr. Owen Chen, recruit foreign operatives like Harold, and establish the infrastructure needed to steal and smuggle American nuclear secrets to hostile foreign powers. The captain's official credentials and security clearances had provided perfect cover for espionage activities, allowing him to access classified information and coordinate with foreign intelligence services without triggering the security measures designed to prevent exactly this type of betrayal. Fox's exceptional instincts had detected the deception that human perception would have missed, recognizing Rodriguez as the most dangerous threat they had encountered despite his official position and apparent authority. William realized that they were facing a conspiracy that reached into the highest levels of naval security, with Rodriguez coordinating a network of traitors and foreign agents who had been systematically looting American military secrets for years. The captain's ability to coordinate search and rescue operations gave him perfect cover for eliminating witnesses and destroying evidence, making William and Fox the only obstacles standing between the spy network and the successful completion of their mission. Dr. Chen's relieved voice on the radio confirmed that Rodriguez was indeed his primary contact within the American military establishment, the corrupt officer who had recruited him and provided protection for the espionage operation. William felt sick as he realized how thoroughly the spy network had penetrated American security systems, using Rodriguez's position to stay one step ahead of legitimate investigations while continuing to steal the nation's most sensitive military technology. Fox's continued alertness and protective positioning demonstrated that the German Shepherd understood they were still in mortal danger, despite the official appearance of federal rescue operations that were actually designed to eliminate them. William and Fox found themselves trapped between Harold's remaining operatives approaching from one direction and Captain Rodriguez's corrupt team closing in from another, with both groups coordinating to ensure that no witnesses survived to expose the espionage operation. The German Shepherd's superior hearing allowed him to track the movements of both enemy groups, providing William with tactical intelligence that would be crucial for any chance of escape or survival against overwhelming odds. Rodriguez's voice over the radio revealed the full scope of the corruption as he coordinated with foreign intelligence handlers who had been paying enormous sums for American nuclear reactor designs and other classified military technology. The captain had been selling out his own country for years, using his position within the Naval Investigative Service to identify valuable targets and eliminate security threats to his espionage activities. William realized that Fox's incredible loyalty and service represented everything that Rodriguez had betrayed, the selfless dedication to protecting America that stood in stark contrast to the captain's treacherous pursuit of personal profit. The German Shepherd remained focused and alert despite the desperate nature of their situation, his military training keeping him ready to fight alongside William against enemies who had abandoned every principle of honor and service. Rodriguez's coordination with Harold demonstrated that the espionage operation involved extensive foreign resources and personnel, confirming that they were facing state-sponsored intelligence activities rather than simple criminal enterprise. The corruption of such a high-ranking naval officer represented a security breach that threatened the foundation of American military superiority, making William and Fox's survival crucial for exposing the full extent of the betrayal. The final confrontation began when William decided that their only chance of survival lay in taking offensive action against both enemy groups before they could coordinate a successful elimination operation. Fox's exceptional training and natural abilities made him the perfect partner for the kind of guerrilla warfare tactics that might allow them to even the odds against numerically superior forces with better equipment and coordination. William used hand signals to coordinate with Fox, their years of partnership allowing them to function as a seamless combat team, even under the most desperate circumstances imaginable. The German Shepherd moved with deadly silence through the island's terrain, using his superior night vision and scent detection to identify enemy positions while avoiding the thermal imaging devices and night vision equipment that Rodriguez's team was using to hunt them. William's naval combat training included experience with asymmetric warfare tactics, giving him the knowledge needed to turn their disadvantages into strategic advantages through superior mobility and surprise attacks. Fox's exceptional physical capabilities allowed him to strike with devastating effectiveness against enemies who expected to face only human opposition, his powerful jaws and agile movement making him a force multiplier that changed the tactical balance of the engagement. The German Shepherd's unwavering loyalty and protective instincts drove him to fight with incredible ferocity against anyone who threatened William, demonstrating the kind of dedication that had made military working dogs invaluable assets in combat operations around the world. Rodriguez's coordination with Harold became increasingly frantic as they realized that their systematic approach to eliminating William was being disrupted by opposition far more effective than they had anticipated. The captain's voice revealed growing desperation as foreign intelligence handlers demanded immediate resolution of the security threat that William represented, emphasizing that exposure of the espionage operation would result in diplomatic catastrophe and massive financial losses. As the battle reached its climax, Fox's heroic action saved William's life when Captain Rodriguez attempted to eliminate them both with explosive devices designed to destroy all evidence of the espionage operation. The German Shepherd's exceptional hearing detected the sound of Rodriguez preparing the charges, giving William crucial warning time to take cover before the explosion that would have killed them both without Fox's alert. The blast illuminated the dawn sky as William and Fox fought desperately against overwhelming odds, their survival depending entirely on the bond of loyalty and trust that had carried them through years of dangerous military service together. Fox's incredible courage and tactical instincts allowed him to identify and attack the most dangerous threats while protecting William from enemies approaching from multiple directions, his military training making him an invaluable combat partner even in the most desperate circumstances. Rodriguez's desperate radio communications with foreign intelligence handlers revealed the full scope of the espionage operation and the enormous resources that hostile nations had invested in obtaining American nuclear secrets. William realized that Fox's incredible performance throughout their ordeal had prevented one of the most damaging intelligence breaches in American history, potentially saving thousands of lives and preserving military advantages that had taken decades to develop. The sound of approaching helicopters announced the arrival of legitimate federal agents who had been tracking the real espionage investigation independently of Rodriguez's corrupt activities within the Naval Investigative Service. Lieutenant Carter's voice came over emergency radio frequencies, identifying himself as the leader of a joint task force that had been investigating the theft of nuclear secrets for months without Rodriguez's knowledge. The legitimate rescue operation had been triggered by William's earlier attempts to contact federal authorities, with investigators finally piecing together the full scope of the espionage network and Rodriguez's role as its leader. Fox's exceptional performance throughout their ordeal had provided crucial time for legitimate authorities to organize a proper response to the security breach, demonstrating once again the incredible value of military working dogs in protecting national security. William felt overwhelming relief as he realized that their nightmare was finally ending with the arrival of trustworthy federal agents who could ensure that justice was served against the traitors who had sold American secrets to foreign powers. Rodriguez's panicked attempts to destroy evidence and eliminate witnesses had failed thanks to Fox's incredible abilities and unwavering loyalty. Preserving the information needed to expose the full extent of the espionage operation, the German Shepherd remained alert and protective even as legitimate rescue forces secured the area, his military training keeping him ready for action until William signaled that they were finally safe from the threats that had hunted them throughout the long night. Dr. Chen's capture, along with Harold and Rodriguez, completed the dismantling of an espionage network that had threatened American naval supremacy for years, vindicating William's decision to trust Fox's instincts, despite the official appearances that had suggested safety and rescue. The aftermath of their ordeal brought recognition and honors for both William and Fox, whose incredible partnership had prevented a catastrophic breach of American nuclear secrets and exposed corruption at the highest levels of naval security. Dr. Owen Chen's cooperation with federal investigators revealed the full scope of foreign intelligence operations against American military technology, leading to the arrest of dozens of additional suspects and the recovery of classified materials worth billions of dollars in research and development costs. Fox received the highest decorations available to military working dogs, with his exceptional performance throughout the crisis, demonstrating why these animals were considered invaluable assets in protecting national security against sophisticated threats. William's expertise in nuclear submarine systems made him a crucial witness in prosecuting the espionage case, with his testimony helping federal prosecutors understand the full implications of the stolen reactor designs and their potential impact on American naval superiority. The German Shepherd's unwavering loyalty and incredible abilities had exemplified the best traditions of military service, proving once again that the bond between human and canine partners could overcome even the most desperate odds when fighting for justice and national security. Captain Rodriguez's conviction for treason and espionage sent a clear message that corruption would not be tolerated within American military and intelligence services, regardless of rank or position. Fox's heroic actions throughout their ordeal had demonstrated the incredible value of trusting instincts and maintaining loyalty, even when official appearances suggested different courses of action, lessons that would influence military training and security procedures for years to come. The final chapter of their story began with William and Fox returning to a peaceful life on Chesapeake Bay, but now their retirement included new purpose as consultants for naval security operations and training programs for military working dogs. Fox's exceptional performance during the espionage crisis had established new standards for canine threat detection and combat effectiveness, with his techniques being studied and incorporated into training programs for future generations of military working dogs. William's experience with the corruption and betrayal they had uncovered led to his appointment as an advisor for counterintelligence operations, helping to develop new procedures for identifying and preventing similar security breaches in the future. The bond between William and Fox had been strengthened by their shared ordeal, with their partnership representing the kind of loyalty and dedication that stood as the foundation of American military service and national security. Their story became an inspiration for military personnel and civilians alike, demonstrating that courage, loyalty, and determination could overcome even the most sophisticated threats to national security. Fox's incredible abilities and unwavering commitment to protecting William had prevented a catastrophic loss of nuclear secrets that could have compromised American naval superiority for decades, making their partnership a testament to the incredible value of the human-animal bond in military service. The German Shepherd had earned his place in history as a true American hero, whose courage and loyalty had preserved national security and demonstrated the incredible value of trusting instincts and maintaining faith in partnerships forged through years of dangerous service together. As William watched Fox playing in the waters of Chesapeake Bay, he reflected on the incredible journey that had transformed their peaceful retirement into a battle for national security and personal survival. The German Shepherd's exceptional loyalty and abilities had been the decisive factor in preventing one of the most damaging intelligence breaches in American history, demonstrating once again why military working dogs were considered irreplaceable partners in protecting freedom and security. Their story had become a powerful reminder that the values of service, loyalty, and sacrifice continued to define the best of American military tradition, even in retirement, when duty called them back to action. Fox's incredible instincts and unwavering dedication had proven that the bond between human and canine partners could overcome any obstacle when fighting for justice and protecting innocent lives from those who would betray their own country for personal gain. William knew that their partnership would continue to serve their nation in new ways, with Fox's exceptional abilities being used to train future generations of military working dogs and improve security procedures for protecting classified military technology. The German Shepherd had earned his place in history as a true American hero, whose courage and loyalty had preserved national security and demonstrated the incredible value of trusting instincts and maintaining faith in partnerships forged through years of dangerous service together. If you have a loyal companion who has shown incredible dedication in your life, we'd love to hear about them in the comments below. These stories of loyalty and courage remind us all of the unbreakable bonds that can form between humans and their animal partners. Please subscribe to our channel to hear more inspiring stories of heroism and loyalty that celebrate the incredible partnerships between veterans and their faithful companions. Click on the next video appearing on your screen now to discover another amazing story of courage and dedication that will touch your heart and remind you of the power of unwavering loyalty in the face of impossible odds.